Record.
Got it.
Okay then, so I'm Catman from Catman's Rocks on Voodoo Radio Online, and I'm joined today by a pretty new band on the scene. This is Arrow Valley. Good evening, guys.
Hey.
Hello, hello.
Yo, hello.
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 So, would you all like to introduce yourselves and tell us what you do in the band?
Who's going first?
Go on, singer first. Has to be.
Okay, I'm Aaron, and I do the lead vocals.
I'm Luke, and I'm one of the guitarists.
I think I'm having issues. Can you hear me okay? There we go.
Yeah,
so,
I can hear you.
Yeah. So I'm Matt, play guitar.
And I'm Bristow, and I hit stuff. Play drums.
Cool. So, I mean, pretty new on the scene. You've got two EPs out so far, and I think the latest one is absolutely stunning. That will be played on my show this Sunday. The first one, You're Not Alone. I mean, when I first heard that, I know it was somebody representing you that sent me the email and saying, would you have a listen to this and play it? I had a listen and I was blown.
Thank you very much. It's really interesting that someone sent you an email. That's nice that we're getting around via some form of technology. That's cool.
Yeah. I'll try and remember who sent it me, and I'll let you know. I can't remember at the moment. Top of my head, I get that many.
I quite like the anonymity of it all. Like,
Yeah.
not knowing that somebody out there is pitching us pitching our emails.
Yeah. That's really, really cool. Really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, the new single then, The System, absolutely brilliant. Do you want to tell us how that came about, what it's about?
Do you want me to explain that one?
Yeah. Go on, man.
Okay. So initially, the song is about animal rights. I wrote it from, because I'm an animal rights activist myself. So I wrote it from that sort of position. But the system is also open-ended, so it can really mean whatever you apply it to. So the lyrics are fairly, like I said, open-ended. So you can apply it to whatever it means in your life, essentially. But to me, it's about animal rights, and the lyrics do lean more towards that topic. But essentially, that's where it came from. I must have wrote it back in 2019, I think. There's a video of the original acoustic rendition floating around somewhere. But yeah, obviously, I put something together and then I gave it to Luke, and Luke polished that turd and turned it into something that's more his thing as well. Do you know what? So,
I mean, it's quite cool because that's kind of how we wrote the first EP as well. It was a lot of Aaron's back catalogue. So there were all, just his vocals and acoustic guitar. I'd listen to them, sort of hear, in my head how we could sound like a full band, and then just take it in that direction. And when I heard The System, I didn't initially, catch on the sort of animal rights side of thing. I thought it could have been about capitalism. That's what initially I got the. That's how I interpreted the lyric. So, like as Aaron said, it can apply to many things, and I think having lyrics that can do that, I think it pays off very well because it invites more people to draw on their own experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, it started out as Aaron's vocal and acoustic guitar, and then it just then expanded into what you've got, what released on Monday.
I like to say that he Lucified it.
Yeah, I love the contrast on the EP. Actually, the electric and the acoustic. Sounds like two completely different songs, but absolutely brilliant. Love it.
That was all Luke. That was actually all Luke. The acoustic version was actually in the original key of the song, and then Luke went, "No, let's drop it. Let's drop it all the way down for the electric version to make it heavier." And then he wanted to come back and actually try the acoustic version with the original tuning. So that's how that came about, I guess.
Brilliant stuff. Yeah. So, who are your influences then?
We'll start with Matt, actually.
Yeah, go on.
Why me?
Are you youngest?
You'd probably think that, but I'm actually not.
Quietest.
Quietest. Yeah, that's true. A lot of Ozzy Osbourne, sort of guitar players. I think that's what got me into playing guitar. I wanted to be Zach Wilde when I saw him on the TV as a kid. But I mean, I listened to just loads of stuff, really. Prog metal, jazz, fusion, all sorts of stuff. Like, one of my favorite guitar players is Frank Gambale, which is, it looks quite funny to watch him, like the old videos and stuff with his like toupee on and leather pants and stuff. He's undeniably a crazy good guitar player. But yeah, I've said like so one of the later ones to join the band, so a lot of this sort of stuff was kind of already in place, so you won't hear a lot of my influence in it, as to say, in this sort of stuff, because a lot of it was already kind of done. Do you know what I mean? So what about Luke, since he's already on screen for me?
Yeah, I mean, one of my sort of main bands throughout my life has been Iron Maiden, but I kind of any branch of metal, like all the classic stuff, Maiden, Dio, Ozzy, and then power metal, really into Stratovarius, Avantasia, that sort of branch, and then Killswitch Engage and Flames for the heavier stuff. So it's so it's basically metal in all its varieties. Go on, drummer, take over.
All right, okay. Whistle Stop Tour. So I got into metal, I think, around that kind of new metal phase when I was going away from Eminem and the music that my parents listened to, which, looking back on it, was bloody awful.
Your parents listened to Eminem?
No, they didn't. They didn't. My dad's actually got the Slim Shady EP still in his drawer, in his bedside table. When he confiscated it because he heard me singing some lyrics at like 11 that no 11-year-olds would say. But there we go. But then, I think the big one, for me, I think a lot of certainly our generation would have been Linkin Park Hybrid Theory. And then that was kind of the gatekeep into, I've got Avenged Sevenfold logo tattooed on me. So the Rev's a huge influence for me. Bullet from a Valentine, Killswitch Engage, Breaking in Benjamin, some newer stuff like Periphery, Pliny. So the whole
Pliny.
kind of like the whole spectrum of. So I kind of went Linkin Park, went backwards to Metallica, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Ozzy, Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, all of that. And then it's kind of gone through the popular stuff, through the emo phase, all of that stuff. And now it's gone. It's clear to me with Arrow Valley, the sound is very Alter Bridge. They're one of the bands that I've kind of like listened to the most, mixed in with Breaking Benjamin, Killswitch Engage, Bullet from Valentine. So it's kind of got a very familiar kind of sound to it, but blends all of that kind of together, which makes sense because that's the music that we have been influenced by over time.
One phrase I've heard thrown about a lot with the sort of sound is people have said it's nostalgic, which I think is quite cool. Like it sounds.
I was coming down to that actually. Yeah, because what Mark just said there, it all shines through in your music. You can hear the influences, but you can also hear your unique touch to it as well.
Oh, nice. It's nice to hear someone say unique, because I think it's very difficult to have sort of like a unique perspective in music these days, because everybody seems to be doing something. But my influences, Alter Bridge, absolutely. Mark Tremonti, anything Mark Tremonti touches is just pure gold. So I really lean on his influence when it comes to writing. Lyrically, it's got to be Miles Kennedy. Like, Miles Kennedy's amazing. Eddie Vedder, absolutely. Like, I grew up listening to a lot of grunge when I was younger, post grunge as well. And Machine Head, fantastic lyricist, fantastic writer. Much like the other lads said, really, Breaking Benjamin as well, another huge one. Killswitch Engage, Bullet for My Valentine. And then actually I go a little bit in a completely different direction, and I go more to like trance. Like I quite like the euphoric inspiration from trance music, classical music, and all things metal, all things rock, Phil Collins, all things pop music right from the 50s right up till early 2000s, I think, is where I draw a lot of my inspiration from. But every now and then, I'm not going to lie, I'll listen to Radio 1 and I'll hear something I like, and that will just be a part of my playlist. So that's more or less how I roll. Taylor Swift. I'm not going to say it, Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
She's there's a lot of people like Taylor Swift. Yeah.
There you go.
No.
Just going to take a bullet for it. Why not? Anyway, that's pretty much my influences in a box.
So you've got 2 EPs out now. Any plans for an album?
I'll let Luke tell you this one.
Yeah, it's tricky. We're leaning towards bite-sized releases. In that it's just more of a modern way of approaching it. That's one, it's quicker for you to get stuff out. It's more manageable financially to support them, and I think I'll do a lot of research into what the best thing to do is to try and bring a band forward. And everywhere I read, it pushes towards singles, EPs, because especially how music's consumed now with streaming. I do the same. I might listen to an album, listen to the first 3 songs, and go, "I really enjoyed that. What's the next thing?" So it's I think if we did an album, from a streaming point of view, there's going to be many tracks there that warrant someone's attention that will probably fall off because someone's not going to listen to an album for 45, 50 minutes. I'm not saying no one will, but there's less people that do that.
I think it's my
everybody's got
generation that did that.
ADHD. Oh, sorry. Say that again, Phil.
I said it. I think it's my generation did that, listening to albums all the way through.
Yeah,
My generation too. I'm in my late 30s.
that's it. And it's so we've got another EP on the horizon. Some of the songs for that EP, we're sort of testing live as well. And I think this one will be the next one coming up. Will be very good because there's a lot of songs in there that have been written from scratch.
Yes.
Like I said, first EP and the system are all songs that Aaron had in his back catalogue, that we then brought up to the Arrow Valley sound. Whereas the next EP, it's going to have all of this in it, putting our own flavour to it. So I think it'll sound even more Arrow Valley-ish, which I think will be a good way to go. And
this has got Oh, sorry, Luke. Carry on.
I was just going to say, like some of my favourite songs that we're doing are to come.
Yeah, it's an amalgamation more of Luke and myself's writing. So it's less about what I had, and it's more about what Luke's got and what I've got and what we're putting together. So
cool. So let's say in the next 3-4 years, where would you like to see Arrow Valley be?
Mark?
Yeah, I think when all of us have been in and out of bands for a very, very long time. So I've played with the same guys and still am playing with the same guys that I knew from high school. So we're talking like 20 odd years now. Bit of a history. Me and Luke were in a band at the same time, but didn't know each other face to face because it was one of these where I would go in and record drums at the studio that we use. Luke could go and record his guitar. And then things happened where Luke wasn't in the band and I was. Now Luke's back in the band and I'm not. So we kind of, there's that whole cycle of things that kind of happen. And I think that as you kind of get older and wiser, I've certainly loved being in this band because it's music that I actually love to play and love to write and love to develop. So as long as it continues to be fun for me, which it has been, and it always, up until this point it is, I'll continue to write, continue to put ideas in. And the sound that you have from You're Not Alone to the System, there's a heavy progression there. The sound for the new EP is going in various directions because we're leaning on all of our influences now. I just want to have fun with it. And you know what? If people reciprocate that and they like the ideas and they want to come and see us, which means that we play bigger shows, and this thing is completely self-funded. So, the merch sales go back into the band. That's the way that we're looking at things. If that continues to grow organically, then great. And I don't think any of the guys here, I'm not going to speak for them, but I don't have any delusions of grandeur. I don't think we're going to be on the main stage at Download, but I certainly want to see, some bigger things happening. But for me, it's pure enjoyment, and the feedback that we've got so far tells us that we're probably onto a good thing. So we'll just see where that goes.
Yeah, I think enjoying it is the key to being in any band, no matter how big or small.
Yeah.
And something you touched on there about the different styles that you've got coming up. I sent a friend recently a link to the like the system, and hey, time's running out. Hey, what's happening now? Sorry about we
Oh,
running out
no.
of time. I do beg
The
your
bomb's
pardon.
been lost.
We're going to have to wind up pretty quick. So as I was saying, I sent the EP to a friend and he said, "Oh, that's a bit heavy for me." I said, "Well," sent him another one off the other EP and I said, "Have a listen to this," and he couldn't believe that you were the same band. Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
I think-
I
Yeah.
like that in the band.
Yeah, I mean, when we did this, when me and Aaron were putting the system together, the first demo, because I appreciate there's a lot of screaming vocals in all the verses, and Aaron was initially you were singing half of it and screaming half of it,
That's right.
and I just said, just have a go at screaming it all, and knowing full well it's going to then make it a very, very heavy song. He did that, and I went, you know what? I think it has to be done.
Yeah.
And I think we were all quite wary of when the system came out that it is our heaviest song, and we didn't want to put people off expecting the more melodic side. But then again, in many ways, we write stuff that we would like to hear, and I think
Yeah.
that's what will always make it fun. So EP2, there's loads of melodic stuff on there. There's also some very heavy stuff, So because there's going to be more tracks on it, there'll be something there for yourself and for your mate.
Actually,
Yeah.
I'd say one of the tracks on the new EP, Ode, is even a wider contrast of what we're writing. So that will bring something completely a different element altogether to the EP as well. Whereas, as Luke said, like some of the other tracks are much heavier, and some of them are in another direction. So I guess it's like a mixed bag. The next EP.
I would
Yeah.
I would personally describe it as, certainly the track that you're on about, it goes from Funeral for a Friend, Killswitch Engage fusion into a bit of soil work with blast beats, into some more melodic stuff. But the key to all of it is, as we're giving each of the tracks, and as like I can record at home and everybody can record at home, the overriding kind of, is that a good track or not, is it a good song? Does it make a good song? None of us are putting stuff in for the sake of it being overly technical or being a bit of a self-indulgent project. It's like, is that, putting a blast beat in a song is quite a harsh thing to do. Blast beats don't normally work, but I put one in and it just worked for a section, so hopefully we're going to keep it. But if it's not in there, I'm not particularly bothered, as long as it's good for the song. But there's a huge diversity in the new EP coming, and that's just purely leaning on all of our influences, and it's kind of the journey of the band, if you like. So there's definitely going to be something for everybody in there.
And I think there is still definitely a sound. It's cohesive.
Yes.
We're not sort of just branching off into totally different genres and zones. It'll still sound like a collective EP, but people will be able to pull out, I recognize that from, it might even be, a 4-bar phrase, but they'll go, oh, there'll be something there for someone in that particular part of the song. It'll still make part of the song, but because we're pulling on so much, there's quite a lot jam packed into the songs, with it still being cohesive. Fingers crossed.
Well, I'll tell you what, can't wait to hear the new EP. I'm just looking at the time on the top of my Zoom, and it's running a little bit low. So I'm going to say thank you very much for the interview, Arrow Valley. Really looking forward to hearing the new EP. And don't forget, anybody watching this video, you'll be able to hear the new Arrow Valley EP, Put My Teeth In Straight, on my show on Sunday at 1 o'clock on Voodoo Radio Online. So thank you guys for the interview. Wish you all the very best. Cannot wait to see you live.
Thanks, Catman.
Thank you very much, Catman.
Thanks.
Nice one. Cheers, dude.
An
See ya.
absolute pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.